Much. Give you a little bit of history for myself and the coaches that came from Michigan. We're a high school program. We have right around 1,000 students in our high school. I know it's quite different than what you guys coach here, but all of our athletics are tied to the high school. We've been able to, well, I played for Coach Harrington. You'll hear him speak later. So I went to the high school that I taught at and I coach at, retired from teaching 4 years ago, but continue to coach. So the thing that I'm going to present today is our philosophy and our method of the, I call it the 5-2, but it's a 3-4 defense. So we're going to have 3 people that are down, their hand down in the turf or the dirt, and 2 stand-up outside linebackers, 2 stand-up inside backers, and 4 or sometimes 5 defensive backs depending on the offensive personnel. So, get going here. So, one of the things that's quite different is we practice 5 days a week with our kids. We also have a class, which is a sports class. We get the students the last period of the day. So we're able to look at film, study the opponents, work on our schemes and our methods that we do in that class period. So, playing sound defense. We link playing sound defense with being able to have great special teams, have really good special teams, have a flexible offense. We got to pay attention to details and surround yourself with good people that can work and do work for you. I tease Coach Harrington that he really doesn't know what I do on defense. That's how I'm able to stay coaching there, because he used to coach everything. When I played for him, he coached the offense, the defense, the special teams. He called everything. That was back in the 1970s. So now it's changed quite a bit, where a lot of teams will have a head coach, but they don't call the offense. They have an offensive coordinator. Well, we don't do that. He's our head coach. He's our offensive coordinator. Coach Herstein coaches our offensive line, but he's like a co-offensive coordinator because he puts a lot of emphasis on the run game. And then I call the defenses, and I work with the defensive backs. Coach Herstein works with the defensive linemen, so we do 2 platoon. We play kids on both sides of the football. And we've done that when I went to school there and all the way through. So we usually have between 5 and 8 athletes that go both ways, play offense and defense. So with 1,000 students, we have several classrooms that are special needs. International Baccalaureate School, we only get maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of those students that actually come out for football because of the emphasis on their studies. So the students we draw from is smaller than, you know, half of 1,000 kids. If you're going to say that there's 50% female, 50% male in the classroom, in the school. So, all right. So we emphasize special teams. We work on special teams every day. Because we 2 platoon, we do not coach offense and defense every day, and I'll get to our schedule in here in a little bit. Ability to have a flexible offense, pay attention to details, and like I said, I hope that Coach Harrington, you know, enjoys having us around him, and we enjoy him trusting us to do the thing that we want us to do. So surrounding yourself with quality people and people that you can trust if you're a head coach to do the job that you want to do, whether they're your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, or what have you. So a lot of programs that we know, schools in the state of Michigan, in our surrounding area, a lot of coaches don't do that. They really hire people, but then they don't let them do their job, and they try to supersede what they're doing and take control of it. So that's one of the things that Coach Harrington has done a great job at. Okay, so 2 days are devoted to defense during our week. Our typical week, we play on a Friday night. So our coaches get together on a Sunday for our meeting, planning for the next opponent. and Monday is a defensive install day. So Monday and Wednesday are our defensive days, and Tuesday and Thursday are our offensive days. We usually script every play, and I'll show you a script plan here in just a second. But we script every play with the opponents, and we use Huddle, our scout team cards, and then we script in the blocking scheme for what front we would use or how they would block a different front, and then we coordinate that with special teams throughout the day, throughout the week. So on Monday, we not only install our defensive plan, but we work on kick return and our punt block and punt return. So we break our schedule down where the beginning of practice is our specialties time, where our snappers, holders, kickers, and those type of athletes are out early on the field. Coach Herstein usually has what he calls the grubber zone. The grubber, you're going to find out from him, he's that big guy, you know, that doesn't get all the girls but loves to play football and puts his hand down in the dirt and plays tough and plays hard. So that's a grubber, offensive, defensive lineman. So having those things coordinated with our offense and defense and our kicking game. So typically we might have an offense, so we would have their top 1st and 10 plays, and we would script where on the field it's at, right hash, middle, left hash, the down and distance as you can see there, and then we would script all those short yardage, medium yardage, long yardage, 4th down, take in and take out plays. So we would script those plays. And in the old days, we used to just practice kind of in the middle of the field, but we have turf now, so we move up and down the turf. We give the kids a different look at different measurements and different angles as the field shrinks as you move down towards the red zone. So typically on Monday, we don't move up and down the field because it's install, trying to teach our scout team. We call them the boaters, B-O-T-R, best of the rest. So if you're starting on defense, then you're not a boater on the offensive day. But if you're starting an offensive lineman, you're offensive guard, and you start, but you don't start on defense, then you're on our scout team running plays against our first defense. So we want the best of the rest running those scout plays against us. So that's a typical Monday day where we would install that. All right, this would be a typical Wednesday practice plan where we would move down the field, and we would start, a lot of times we will start with a punt block or punt return from a team on a takeout. So we would start typically at the 10-yard line, maybe the 5-yard line, and have the scout team punting out of their own end, and we would work on our punt block schemes or punt return, whatever we decided for that week. And then we would run our down and distance plays that would come out. So typically we would go from the 20-yard line, we would run 1st and 10 play, we would run a 2nd and short, a 2nd and long, a 3rd and long play, and then we might punt again from the 20 and run a punt block or punt return from the team's -20. Then we would move to the 40-yard line, and we do the same type of thing. So we would run a 1st and 10 play, 2nd and short, 2nd and long, 3rd and short, 3rd and long, and then a punt, or maybe that's where the opposing team would have a fake punt, so we'd run a fake punt against our defense, and then we move to our, the offense is +40, our -40, then we move to our -20, and then we do take-in plays from the 10-yard lines. Goal line, you know, we don't really get into an end zone defense, but we work on goal line plays, 10-yard line and in. If you guys have any questions, just shout out, raise your hand, ask me to stop. All right, so here's that weekly schedule I was talking to you about. Staff meeting, scouting report, defensive practice. Tuesday's the offensive practice. Wednesday, the defensive practice. Thursday, a lot of our kids, they say that's our walkthrough practice. No, it's not a walkthrough. It's a run-through. We still wear pads. We wear full pads on those days. We don't want kids getting hit in the thigh, get a bruise, get a hip pointer. and then Friday we go kick some ass somewhere, you know, whoever we're playing. So we used to play on Saturdays, so we used to get a second offensive day on Thursday, be all offense. Now we do mostly offense and some defense, and we typically start that with our kicking game, kickoff, kick return, and then we do some defensive plays, maybe plays that have given us trouble that week, and then we go into a punt, block, punt return, a long field goal attempt where we work on different blocks, different types of ways to handle that, putting someone back deep in case it's a short kick, and then we go our the take-in plays, 10-yard line and goal line, PAT block, 2-point conversion plays. I don't know if you guys get a lot of that here in Germany, but a lot of teams that we play do not have good kicking games, so they do not typically kick extra points. So we face a lot of teams that go for 2 every time they score. So that's the weekly schedule. Junkyard Dogs, we like to think of ourselves of a tough defense. We really have a philosophy that we're going to stop your run. That's our defensive philosophy. We're going to stop your run. And what we do is we're a multiple front. Okay, so we'll have 5, 6, 4 guys on the line, but we're a single gap control defense. And our typically, we're not a blow and go team. We're not going to just rush upfield and read a run block as you're running upfield for the pass. We have flipped our personnel sometimes, so sometimes we'll have a strong defensive end. I still call them defensive ends, outside linebacker in a 3-4, and a weak one. We label them with just 2 different letters, R and E. We try to create confusion by post-snap movement, and what I mean by that is stemming or shifting from a 4-down front to a 5-down front, or from a 5-down front to a 3-stack front, or vice versa. Don't blitz a whole lot, but we do blitz our linebackers, the outside backers probably more than the inside. And like I said before, we do not 2 platoons, so the best guys are playing. That doesn't mean that they play that position the whole game. They'll get rest when they need it, or if we notice that they're having a hard time, or if they really wuss out and tap out and want to get somebody in for them, then we'll do that. Coach Erstein does a great job on the defensive line of rotating guys in and out, keeping them fresh. Philosophy, keep it simple, and I learned to keep it simple stupid, but I don't like to call the kids stupid, so keep it simple, Sally. We try to keep it simple. A bend, don't break type of an offense. Like I said, we're not a blow and go team, so our interior, our TNT, our tackle, nose, and tackle, we read. So what I mean by that is they have a sight read and they have a pressure read. Typically, we play 4 eyes on our, you would call them ends, they're our tackles. So they're going to play an inside shade on the offensive tackle. And their sight read is going to be the guard, and their pressure read, their field read is going to be that tackle. Like I said, we're not a blow and go, so we read what's going on at the line of scrimmage. We want to make a wall, an impenetrable wall right at the line of scrimmage, and force teams to try to adapt to that. We don't want to be a team that's running upfield and getting trapped, out of position, 2 guys in the same gap. So consistency, 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 and Coach Erstein works tremendous amount of time with teaching those kids how to read what's going on the offensive line. All right, these are our goals, our defensive goals. We still have our primary goal. If we shut them out, hopefully maybe we can get them to commit a safety and we'll win 2-0. Or like in the Division I state championship, we just came from Michigan. We played in the Division III state championship a week ago today. But the Division I, which is the big schools in Michigan, upwards of 3,000 students in their high school, the final score was 3-2. 3-2. The two teams are from our conference. We've played both of them in the past. The team that eventually won, we played them our regular season game, and we lost to them 22-12. But they scored at the end of the half. Very little time on the clock. They were helped out by the other team that had a roughing the passer. Got them within field goal range, and they kicked the field goal. In our game, the kid kicked 4 field goals against us. We stopped them multiple times. But the other team scored when the eventual winner, on their first possession, they're deep in their own end, snapped the ball over the punter's head to the end zone, and that was the 2 points for the losing team. And that team had been averaging about 42 points a game, and 2 receivers are going to University of Wisconsin. Their quarterback, where's the team committed to, Coach? Bowling Green in the MAC. So they had a prolific passing attack, but it didn't work.
They did play earlier that year.
Yeah, they did play earlier, and the team that won the state championship lost to the losers.
33 to something.
33-7 or
14.
So it's hard to beat somebody 2 times in a year. I don't know if you guys have to play that where you play same team multiple times in a year. So these are our goals, and we've kept them. We've talked about changing them, but under 100 yards rushing, under 150 yards passing, under 250 total. We don't want to get any rushing yards play over 20 yards. We want to intercept 1 of 12 passes, and we want to drop the passer for a loss at least 2 times. No TD passes. We want to score or set up a score, and no penalties. And that one's funny because we do get penalties. This is where our success really stems from. We have a tremendous weight coach who played for us. He's actually a mortgage person. His office is right across the street from the school, so he comes over 3 times a week when we're not in season. And we have a great weightlifting program. This is actually part of our weight room at the school. So we have a lot of free weights, some machines, a lot of dumbbells, and pretty much a bigger, faster, stronger program as far as the weights. All right, terminology. So we're going to get into some stuff that has. So E is a strong side end. That's an outside backer. R is a weak side end. T are our 2 tackles. N, that's our nose guard. B, that's our buck backer, our strong side backer. W is our will, our weak side backer. And then we have 4 defensive halfbacks. Our M, monster, that's our strong safety. The H is our halfback. C is our corner. And S is our free safety. Back in the old days, we used to rotate those people. So we would have the monster and the half go to the same side. Strong safety in the half, the free safety in the corner go to the stage. But this is a typical size of our athletes in high school. This year, this kid was maybe not as tall, but we had a sophomore that was 6'5". We had a little bit bigger D tackle this year. He was about 260. Our nose guard, you'll see some of the cut-ups. He's about that size, 190. He's also our fullback or up back. Junior that played this position this year was exactly that size. And then we had a couple other linemen that were in the 6'2", 6'1" range, about 220 pounds. We're not typically big. This is about the average for our inside backers. This backer this year was a sophomore that did not start at the beginning of the year, but came on and played and worked his way into a starting position by the end of the year. This young man here was actually an outside linebacker. He played this position last year, and he is that big. He's about 6'4", 215 pounds, but we moved him to inside linebacker. He was our only 4-star athlete. He's actually committed to go to Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame. This is real typical. I think our corners this year are both about 5'10", 170, 165 pounds. Our free safety this year, we used a couple different kids. 3 in fact, 2 of them were tall, 6'1", 6'2", and 1 was this size. And our strong safety was about this size this year. Our best free safety this year actually was our quarterback, but we didn't have a really great backup, so he didn't play a lot at free safety. That's our typical. Now, this is something that's going to be strange. So, learning from who I learned from Coach Harrington and Coach Bob Sutter, who is actually my coach when I was on junior varsity football in 9th grade. This was their numbering alignment, okay? So we understand 3 shade, and 6 and 4 eye and 5, but this is how we teach our kids. We teach them head up is a 0, inside shade is a 1, outside shade is a 2. That's how we teach our linemen, our defensive ends, you know, our linebackers. That's how we teach them. So it's a little bit different, I know, but that's our system, and we'll let the kids when they go to college learn what a 3 technique is, and a 4 eye, and a 5, and a 6, and I never understood how you got from a 6 to a 7 to a 9 and all that stuff anyway. So Coach Bear Bryant is the one that invented all that numbering system. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's all right. So since we're a gap control defense, we pretty much say you're going to be responsible for 1 gap. We very rarely have someone be responsible for 2 gaps. We just feel that for high school students, kids that are 14 to 18 years old, it's too much to handle, especially going both sides of the football. Okay, so our TNT are our guys that are down, and like I said, our E and R and our B and W are the guys that are up. So here's our gap. So we got, you know, one guy spread out here. So that's our gap assignment, our gap control. One of the things we like to do is change alignments in order to create mismatches. So we do a lot of that in our practice planning and our scouting. So we might identify this student, and Peter remembers this game, he was over for this lineman for the other team was horrible. So it's great to take your best defensive lineman and put him over there. Sometimes it doesn't have to be your best one, but you know, create the mismatch. So identify the offensive lineman that is the worst and create that mismatch by putting your best guy on him or using a front that would create confusion for him. So big on small, quick on slow, sliding the front or stemming the front, moving the front, or stacking or blitzing. All right, so we really have these 3 basic fronts. So there's 2 of them really, an odd and an even. So our odd is our 3 down front. 3 down, 3 stacked backers. 3 down or 2 backers. Our other odd is 5 front. So 3 down with 2 stand-up outside linebackers when we go against 22, 21 personnel. That type of thing. Then our 4-man front, because of all the introduction the last probably 10 years in the States of the spread offense. A lot of 10 personnel, 11 personnel, quads, loose, you know, 3x2 alignments. We've gone to a 4-man front, although the person that I learned the defenses from, Coach Sutter, he ran a 4-man front back in the 80s. So he would typically have a really quick nose guard, maybe 5'10", 185-pound, quick, strong nose guard, and he would move that, instead of having to be on the center, he would move him to the outside of the front in his 40 front. So those are our basic fronts. 2 that are odd and 1 that's an even. So we might go rush over, where we put him on the same side, and he might be in man coverage. So we might go, you know, in a 40 rush over and cover man, and I'll come back to that slide. So here's what it would look like. So we put our nose out here, terrible offensive guy protecting the quarterback's backside, so we might put him here for pass rush and take our rush and move him over, play man and 2 deep, play man two deep, and play 6 in the box. All right, so that would be one possibility of trying to create those mixed matches. We did some of that this year. Okay. So we moved the nose up guard out, try to create a mismatch on that outside. So there's an example of that. most of you guys run even in front, a 4-2-5 because of the spread, or most of you guys run a 3-4, or do you see 2 tight ends? We feel that this ability to go from a five-man front with 2 linebackers and a 4-man front with 2 linebackers creates for us the ability to play any type of offense. And you know, Coach Arrington hasn't changed his offense much since 1970, 71. You know, it's been a one of our quarterbacks, who was middle of the throw Coleman, one of the greatest high school quarterbacks in the state of Michigan, he always teases Coach and says, "Coach, you never let me take a shotgun snap." Even when he ran 4 receivers, sprint out, and I tease Coach, he was the inventor of the RPO, because back in the 70s he had sprint out, roll out with a quarterback, run or throw it. And so that was the original RPO, I believe. So he has evolved to gun, you know, empty sets and that type of thing, but we still run pretty much 21, 22 personnel when we need to move the football. So we,
23.
23, yeah, we run a lot of 23 power. But this is what our typical front is right here. We call it one nose shade. We might shade the nose to the strength or away. We're going to play 4 eyes with these guys. Look and dink and mess with changing that, but Coach Herstein assures me this is the hardest thing to block when you're an offensive tackle. When you're trying to run pin and pull, zone stretch, this is the hardest thing to block. So this is why we run it. And this is why we read and we teach these guys right here. That's their feel, their pressure read, that's their sight read. So they're going to be shooting their hands, but looking at the guard every play. And if they have a hard time doing that, well, we move them right here. And we tell them, man maker. So we man maker the center. That means you come off hard, your helmet underneath his chin, and drive him back into the backfield. Man maker. So, and we have a call like that, you know. Our base defense, man maker. Just man maker him. Win the fight.
Got clips of that later.
Yeah. So, but we really work on these guys reading them. Typically, these guys will line up head up or an inside shade, and their job is to deny this guy to double and come down to the backer. So those are the reads, and those are the things that we teach those guys. And we rep that in a giant drill, typically 2 days a week on defense. All right, so here's a gap. We might run a gap. If these splits are humongous, state championship game we just played in, sometimes these splits were 4.5 feet from the team from Muskegon. And when this guy is 6'5", 320, and this guy's 6'7", 330, that's huge splits.
Go to Alabama.
Yeah. One's going to Alabama, one's going to Penn State. So you know, talk to those defensive tackles in the game, and you know, usually we like to line up shoulder tip to shoulder tip on them, or you know, if it's a smaller guy, you know, outside eye to inside eye as far as how our alignment is. But you know, we had to move. Hey, can you gap them? Can you get inside of them? All right, so double eagle, pretty typical eagle call. We also run an eagle week where we just eagle one side. There's the eagle week. And we play a 2. So this we would call it 2 eagle week. So we would go 2s here. We might shade. If it was 1 eagle week, he would be an inside shade of 4-eye, and he would be a 6.
The eagle on the weak side, that goes from a 4-eye to a 3 technique. So now if we want to apply pressure on the offensive guard, where if they're doing a lot of pulling on the guard, you know, he's pulling to that strong side on power play or a trap. Now that tackle is in his hip pocket in order to create a foul situation where he could possibly make a tackle from the back side.
Makes it harder to get a cutoff block here or a cut block, and It is a shorter distance if they're going back on you here,
We
but
play a tight nose.
yeah, we play it pretty tight shade right there, so.
Maybe grab them and hold them. That's kind of legal. We're not.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
So I grabbed them. I'm sorry. Oops.
We have a lot of drinking establishments. You guys have a lot of them, you know, in your winter carnivals, or what do you call those? Christmas carnivals.
Christmas market.
Markets. But Coach Herstein coined a phrase of barstool sit. So you're
It's whenever you get double teamed.
when you get double teamed, we talk about pulling and eating up two. And sitting on the bar stool, falling off the bar stool, and sitting on the ground in the bar. So it's probably a technique that he learned in college when he slid off a few bar stools. But that's what we teach the kids, and the kids know that. The local papers know that, and have put it in the paper before. So it's pretty funny when we get to talk to those guys about that technique. But that's one of the reasons that we read what the offensive player is doing and try to eat up double teams.
Linebackers a lot of times will read the guards or the running backs and read, or do what we call a triangle read, where they're reading through the guard to a running back, either particularly if they're in that shotgun back offset one way or the other, read through him in order to see the running back and see the guard. So they'll try to read them both. You know, guard's going that way, my guy's going the opposite way. Well, guard's going to supersede, or he's going to trump, or he's going to, you know, be more important to follow than this guy flaring that way. So, you know, it's not just the TNT, it's that whole defensive front is reading the offensive lineman, or reading their back, or whatever their read is, to fit, like Coach said, a giant impenetrable wall.
All right, I'm going to go to the next presentation. How do I get back to that?
You're talking about
Yeah, I want to just get back to where I got those other PowerPoints. Just Excel? Or
minimize it. Minimize.
Yeah.
Or right here would be other PowerPoints. Go to this. Yep. Is it on your H drive on the flash?
Yeah, but it's up.
It's on his H drive flash. John is on. It's my name.
All right, so Mr. Big John.
Figure it out. Maybe.
Is that it?
How do you spell it? Oh, that's for this.
Kind of got three sessions here in this first time period. So this one is our stunts and fronts, okay? And Dave helped me lighten some of that, but I didn't do it for the other one. But so these are a little more detail of our stunts and fronts, and then I've got some video clips to show you of this. One of the things I do want to show you is, and we film a tremendous amount. Yeah, I'm starting to lose. We film, we're probably a little neurotic about it. We film every practice. We have one of the cheapest end zone cameras in the world. Coach Herstein
I was
has
going to
a,
clinic on this.
he has a pool, an in-ground pool, so he went and bought one of those expandable pool aluminum slide, getting the leaves out of the pool, right, with the net. So he took the net off and he made a thing on the top of it out of
All right, so
wood.
here's what you got. You got the pool. You guys, anybody have end zone cameras or want one real cheap? Would you guys use it if you had it? Okay, here's what you do. You get a long pole. Okay, this one happens to expand a little bit, but you got yourself a long pole. At the top, you get a paint roller holder for an extender at the OPI or OBI. Okay, you go there, you get the paint roller extender. You take a little piece of dowel wood, you put that in there, and then you take, you can buy it there at the OBI also.
Threaded.
It's threaded on one end where you can screw it in, and then the other end is like a machine bolt type of thread.
It fits into your camera.
Okay, so then you put your camera up top, you got your remote control down here through your old iPhone or old, mobile phone, okay, or your handy, whatever one's a pile of shit that you don't need anymore. You take that, when you put it down there, you got the camera up top, then you have one of your kids go out there and hold it and film. And then, of course, because they're kids, they let the thing fall over and you gotta get the camera eventually, but stuff happens,
We had a tripod. We had a tripod that had the, crank thing on it. We had to put it up and down, and it gets sticky. And with our weather, we had to try to lubricate it, and it was terrible. It was horrible. So this is great, and then you can follow. So we taught one of our managers, a female manager, actually won.
She throws shot and disc.
Shot and disc for coach in the springtime. She would just stand behind the offense and follow them in the field, and it's really nice. It's high enough. It's portable, it's mobile, and
$200.
it's cheap.
$200.
It costs $3 grand.
Yeah, he just got a picture of it, I think. Yeah, I think $200 is what the cost is. With the most expensive thing is the camera.
All right, so here's our terminology again. So 0, 1, and 2. You guys have seen that. One nose flex. This is probably our base defense that we play when we get 21 or 22 or 23 personnel. The kids know if I'm doing this, we're playing 4 eyes, this or the shade. So depending on the scouting report, we may shade 2 or away from the offset back, and this is our typical offensive set right here. 2 tights, an up back, and a tail back, and a swing back that's wide out. We run a lot of this offense. I don't know if you guys see a lot of this. You guys see a lot of this offense, power offense?
Yes, he mostly spreads.
Spread. So there's the one nose gap, double eagle, eagle weak, so those are our adjustments. All right, so slide. So we adjust if we have unbalanced, and you guys see unbalanced fronts. So where you get a guard and you get a tight end over here. You get a guard and a tight end, eligible receiver, tackle over. You guys see this front at all? So we will slide the front. So we say now this is the center. All right, so we're still playing 4 eyes, but that's the center, that's the guard, that's the tackle. We slide the front one way or the other. And then we just call it slide 1 or 2. So we just slide the front 1 or 2 men, depending on what the offense shows us. We also play some slant and angle, so we'll slant.
And we've done that even not just against, some guys are saying don't play many I formation or tight sets. Even against 4 receivers, we'll still slant or angle the guys to an offset back if they're going to go towards the field, if they have a field tendency. Coach had, what was your boundary sign this year? Your butt or something? Put it behind his back.
Field, baseball.
Yeah, there you go. So it was field or boundary. We'll angle those guys towards the field. Typically, that's what we did mostly to stop them if they're going to run their sweep play or a jet sweep, and then we also have calls within this where we're slanting and angling off of motion. So if they motion, that's probably the one that we see more of. I don't know if Coach has it in there or not. I remember this PowerPoint from before, but if they got 2 receivers on both sides. Guy goes in motion, we got an automatic ram or lion call with that defensive front angle towards that motion.
Try to pick terminology that they could get out fast, you know, not 2 syllables, so something that meant right or left. So if you get motion, you know, to the defensive left, lion to the right, ram. We used to use some other female terms, but we had a Lucy one time that was a daughter or sister of one of the kids, and we didn't want to keep calling Lucy. So, all right. So we also have twist. We'll twist the inside. So nose twist, and we've twisted them 1, 2, or 3 gaps. Pinch. Run a lot of this single pinch on certain teams that we play. When we play our 4-man front, we use this pinch a lot, especially in our playoffs this year. Double pinch, where we pinch all of them. Heard us a couple years ago in the regional finals where, like the kids playing at Iowa right here, we double pinched and he didn't scrape. He said, "I saw the window." And they went 67 yards for a touchdown outside of them. So it's getting the kids to believe and buy in and trust you more than anything as far as whatever schemes you decide to play. Rip. So we run this typically with an eagle front for eagle weak. We might rip. So we'll send the backer up and the nose goes last. On this one, the nose goes last, so we'll flex him. He's going A, he's going B, and he's ripping all the way to C. And we've got rip wide and rip outside. And we've used these over the years and have been very successful. This guy right here has caught a screen pass before running this. He's actually caught a pitch on an option before when we had a team that ran option against us. So. You guys want me to go back? You want to write those down? I'll go back and go slow. You guys want to see those or no? Just holler at me if you want to. I know they're videotaping this, that's great, but if you want to write them down. Does cause confusion sometimes on teams. So there's the rip. He's just going, you know, replacing. So he's the A gap player, he's the B gap player. He's still playing C gap. We do bring him up into the front and you know, bring him right up there. On this one, we bring him right up in a 3 technique, and got to work on him taking on doubles at this point. So your inside backers don't get double teamed a lot at the line of scrimmage. So you got to work on taking on a double team, being up in a 2-point stance. So those rip right, rip outside. Here's another one of the stunts where we're razor, stunting this guy all the way to the opposite B gap. Still a 4-eye, flex him a little bit, and then tar, tackle and rush. We try to tag him with the terminology. This one actually would be a rat. Rat. First letter goes first, rush and tackle. Tar would be the tackle. Usually like to have the penetrator going first. Those are this. All right, so typical linebacker blitzes. This is probably the one that I use the most of any of the stunts. So it's out of our 50. It could be in an eagle front. It could be this guy's eagle, but it could be he's still playing a 4-eye there. Just a weak side A-gap stunt. That's probably our one that I call the most. If I have a linebacker that's not reading great, that's not really coming downhill, doesn't trust what he sees, so early in the game I might start him off second long or second mid on a slam stunt to get him moving, to get him coming downhill. Young guys that that are afraid to come downhill, same thing. We'll slam them. We'll get them moving. All right. Ends up, don't run much of this anymore, but this is with a will fire, so we're bringing both ends, and the will's wrapping. And we have run this one over the years a lot against a two-back set. If they run a lot of play action, got this from University of Michigan. We've actually had these guys intercept passes before, so they're gonna touch and they're gonna replace the two backers. So we're double slamming these inside backers. If these guys read pass, and they're taking the curl spots. Like I said, we've had some pretty big guys that intercepted balls there. It's a great time for them, you know. Guys that don't usually get to do that. We run this typically on a 3rd and short, double eagle jam. We'll bring the backers come right up on the butt of the tackle, put their hand right on his hip. And these guys are pinching to A, he's man maker, and they have B gap. If done it also in a bear front, and our bear front, we usually move the end here and the monster up here. I know a lot of bears will put the strong safety right here in the C gap, but I just do it a little bit different. All right, so here's our 30 front. So all those 50 fronts, pretty much because we have a lot of teams that still run the football in our league. This is our base passing situation. We just call it 32 because we're 2 techniques, 5 on your tackles or your defensive ends. You guys might want to call these ends. We still call them a T because they got their hand out in the dirt. And these are our 2 outside backers. But that's our typical 3-down front. Lately, we've gone a lot to just a 31. So we have these guys playing 4 eyes, and we play read. So I don't know if a lot of you guys coach your secondary too, or you coach the TNT, the down front, whatever. It's great, you know, trying to match, right, your back end with your front end. So we've got a young linebacker. He played defensive and offensive line for us, but he now is coaching our linebackers, and he's starting to understand how those 2 things fit. You know, you have to have that whole philosophy of how does your back end fit with your front end. So when we play read now, we take this guy right here and this guy right here, and he splits the difference between this tackle and the inside shoulder of number 2. And he's going to read the offensive tackle. So, and we play cover 2 read behind it with the secondary. So the secondary is going to read 2 to 1. This side monster and half, they're reading 2 to 1. This side safety and corner, they're reading 2 to 1. These guys are reading the tackle. So if we're going to play straight, zone, cover 2 read, they're going to read pass or run. If they read run, they're coming downhill, inside foot, inside shoulder. We pup. A lot of teams, Coach Herstein called it Raven technique. So they're going to read. They're going to read that inside via the tackle, and if they read run, they're coming downhill, inside foot, inside shoulder, they're ready to take on a block, a trap, or whatever. So we don't usually line them up at linebacker depth. These guys, we want them at 5, 5.5. We really like to line them up deeper. So these guys are, as long as they're off the line of scrimmage, so they have enough space to be able to fit, you know, if something pops in here, or come outside. So that's the technique we teach them. If they read pass, then what they're doing is they're dropping curl to flat, depending on the down and distance. If we're playing straight quarters, then they'll go curl to flat. If we're playing 2 read, then they'll hold the curl. So that's our base against even empty, even the 10 personnel. So even if you got 3 by 2, now if it's quads, then we'll do some different secondary things, and I'll talk about that I think later today or tomorrow about secondary play. But if we get the empty set, so we got 3 over here and 2 over here, then we'll play a double backer banjo is what we call it. Banjo coverage for us is this guy's playing flat, these guys are playing quarter. If it's 3 by 1 over here, then we're doing stuff over here. We might be stunting, we might be doubling this guy. It all depends on the personnel you're playing. So if it's an empty set, we're playing double back or banjo, where this guy's playing curl to flat, these guys are playing quarters of the field. And we don't really adjust a lot from that, because what we want to do is we want to get lined up right. One of the things when I took over as defensive coordinator in 2008, tons of misalignments. And there's nothing that ticks me off more when I have to write like 5 times on a practice film, MA, draw the little lines in there for the guy who's lined up wrong 5 times in a row. When we've coached them out on the practice field, and you constantly have to tell them you're not lined up right. So that's one reason we film. We film from the end zone view to make sure that we're properly aligned. So we want to line up properly. You know, my big thing is alignment, assignment, and get your ass to the football and be pissed off when you get there. So if you line up, you play fast, you know, not a lot of rules on stuff, then that's what we feel we can really be effective. So that's our base against spread. Do we run a 4 front? Yes, we do. It all depends on the personnel that we're playing. This is our biggest stunt from this 3-down front. And we just call it ear fire. It's kind of easy. Edge and rush, ear, and we bring them from depth. We change the alignment here sometimes. So typically, if we're playing, you know, 3rd and long pass, that he's going to be in a 5 technique. We may keep him in a 5, and he may rip, you know, across the face of the tackle. But some guys are, you know, not smart enough to figure that out, so they line up a 4-eye. That's fine, you know, because we don't want 2 guys in the same gap.
You will idiot proof it.
When we have the kids that can pick it up, then we let them, you know, rip cross face.
Coach Thorne didn't tell you, he used to teach special ed for a long time. I teach special ed, and I coach special ed kids a lot too. So,
special ed is
alternative. Yeah.
Alternative education, cognitively impaired. I taught multiply impaired, so I taught physical and cognitively impaired kids for 31 years. So
our kids, sometimes when he says they don't remember to go cross the tackle's face, he's serious about that. Sometimes they don't remember, so we will put them in a 1 or a 4-eye, so they know I've got this gap. Now, some of our kids remember to do it, but we'd rather have them get into the right gap than in the wrong gap.
and then off of that, we've got a burn, so we'll actually bring them in the B gap, just keep them with our system, you know, make it easy. Ear burn, they're going B gap. This is the one we typically get wrong the most when, you know, these tackles are used to playing B gap, and it's not always fun when you have a 275-pound guy here and he forgets to rip outside and you got no contain on the quarterback, so that makes it difficult sometimes. Makes your hair turn gray faster. So that's another really typical stunt that we use out of that 30 front. We don't always fire or burn both of them, so we can tag it where we just bring one of them. And so if we were going to just tag the edge burn, we would burn here, we probably would roll down here and play man free, and he would stay man, and the safety would roll back. But we're going to give him this too high look, pre-snap read. So and we don't want this guy creeping when he runs the burn. We want him coming right tight off of this tackle's butt. So we don't want him looping, right? We all know the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. We don't want to waste any time. So we could do the opposite too. We could have a rush burn, you know, where he was coming here, or we could burn them both. The next one is an X-ray stunt, which is an inside stunt where we're bringing both inside back. This one we run not as much as the next slide I'm going to show you, and I think I got a couple cut-ups of the Hornet one. So this is an X-ray where they would actually X. We might be playing man free here with this if we're sending you know, 5 inside, so we might be playing man. We might be playing pure zone quarters. But typically on this we would play man because You have no one to cover the middle hole. Here's a Hornet where we would bring both inside backers either to or away from the strength, depending on what our scouting told us about how they slide their protection. So that's a Hornet stunt. Here's our bow fire. So we would bring both the inside backers at the last moment up, bring them off the edge, and pinch the tackles. You know, if they can play if they can line up at a 5 and get to the B gap. If not, we're going to line them up 4-eye and tell them that's your gap. So. I want to go to a couple of the clips because I've got them written out, John, in order. Okay, so here's some of those 5-2 fronts. Hopefully this is gonna load right. Yeah. Clip this. All right, so the first one here, before I start, you guys got any questions? Any questions at all?
The standard quarters when we play with both splits and linebackers?
Yeah, I either, it depends on the down distance. You know, 4th and 7, they're going to be a hot route coming out, so I might go man under, four under, you know, 2 deep. If it's 3rd and 17 and I'm bringing both inside backers either on a war crash or a Hornet or an X-ray, then I'd probably play true quarters. And I know the middle of the field is weak. Sometimes when we got a good nose guard, we have a nose drop, so we'll have the nose that will drop to the hole. Our nose guards typically have been, what, coach, for 25 years, 30 years. 5'9" to 5'11", 175, 180 pound guys. And we've had ones that were all state, so the top in their class at their position. But they're quick, they're wrestler types. One of our best ones ended up being injured in Afghanistan, Special Forces, and that's what he told the visiting coach one time. He came over and said, how are you guys so successful? This is one of Coach Harrington's best coaching friends. He said, you get a bunch of guys that are about 5'10", 5'11", 185 pounds, and want to hit hard and run to the football. That's what you got to have to be effective. You know, guys that want to hit and run to the football. That's one of the things I didn't tell you about, and hopefully you're going to see in some of these cut-ups, is that we torture our guys. So we do a 2-ball drill in doubles, and we do it from the beginning of doubles. Actually, we do it in the spring when we have our spring class. So what is our 2-ball drill? We also do a 2-ball scramble drill. I think I got some cut-ups on that when I talk about the secondary stuff. So when we get an install day on defense, typically on our Monday, and we have our scout team run a play, and it's a thud, we call it thud. It's not a collision practice, so we're hitting, but we're just hitting up, thumbs up, we're wrapping up, hitting, and he blows the whistle on the first touch-up, all right? And then I watch. And if we don't have all 11 guys running to the ball, then I wait, and then I blow a whistle a couple times, and then I say, hey, Joe didn't run to the football. So come on back over here while the scout team's looking at the next card. You know, you guys know how that goes. They're trying to go, oh, I want to be that guy. I'm that guy. Oh, no, you started out being number 12. You're number 12, you know. So while they're doing that, we're over here, and I'm going down up. Down up. So the defense either runs to the football and gets 11 guys there in practice, or between the scout plays, they're doing down ups. They're going down up. And we may do 5, 8, 10, I don't know, however long it takes them to get the next scout card up. So from the first day of doubles, when we introduced our defense, we run to the football. We are going to retrace if we're a lineman. If we're a backside corner, we're going to get a pursuit angle. We're going to get to the football. And I think that's helped us. I think I got the one cut up. Maybe we can end with that one against Riverview. But, oh, we're not showing anything.
This is the DVD?
Yeah.
Guess which one?
Yeah. It's not showing on the screen.
Oh, it's not?
No. Hey, Dave, you got it? Is it up?
Did this go to sleep?
Yeah, I think it's shut down.
This one did.
Yeah, stay on, stay on, stay on.
So we do that 11 bodies to the football, 11 men to the football. If I coached 8-man football, do you guys have 8-man football in Europe? So I guess it would be 8 men to the football. But, you have 9? 9, 11. They narrow the field for the 9.
7, 9,
9, 11. Yeah, it works so good.
You can see the 5.2 before, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to just put the sleep on there.
The DVD.
DVD?
Yes. It was up on the laptop, but it just wasn't showing here. I didn't, maybe we touch that cord. There we go. All right, so this is a 5-2. We're pinching. John, maybe you could do the.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh, we're not going to see it here.
If you want to, I can duplicate it.
Yeah, make it loop. Can you loop it? Because it'll loop and.
So, no, you say duplicate the screens. Yeah, duplicate the screens if you can. Is that way?
2 screens up. Isn't it?
There you go. This would be good. There we go. Let's start back at the beginning for you.
Can you loop that, John, or?
I don't think I can loop it this time.
Well, you might have to just stop.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna use this as the pointer so you can do. So the first one is a pinch. We're pinching both tackles, all right? Little adjustment with the linebackers. We call it a hawk alignment, all right, because we're the Hawks, so we'll widen them maybe to a 5, 50 technique, 5. And this is just, a pinch. So both tackles are pinching in.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Final video game.
Slow. Maybe.
I'm going to pause it for you.
Just pause it. You're going to see a sideline view, so you're going to get pinches here. It won't go slow-mo, John?
Did I say slow? I can do that. I can't go slow.
All right. Just let it run. Let it run, because it's got to have an end zone view. They can see it better from the end zone. So first one's a pinch. Okay, you're going to see the end zone view over here. You're going to see both the tackles pinching in. Nose is shaded. You're trying to heat up a double. Strong side end takes that on really tough. That's one of the techniques that we teach is we don't teach wrong arm a lot. We teach, try to get hands on the tight end, step down, take it on when you're inside arm and shoulder, and make it bounce out. Second one here is we're one eagle weak. You're going to see it on the end zone view.
This is that pinch one again.
Yeah. So we're eagled weak, he's pinching.
This is the Eagle Week.
This is eagle week, that was the same one. That's our strong safety 14 that's coming up. He was on a read blitz against this team, so he got blocked down. All right, so we're eagled weak here. Little defensive tackle, he's about 175 pounds, very fast though. Was able to get in the hip pocket of that guard pulling on that pin and pull. This is another 5'2" with 12 personnel. Kind of messed up responsibilities. We did have a change of responsibilities here. The monster ended up our strong safety making it right by falling down and helping make the tackle, but typically we didn't want to do that. We want to have that end, have the C gap, and the monster the B gap. Okay, I think this next one's a veer. Nope, this is just a 5'2", backside coming down, reading the pull, and making the tackle. So this is the backside tackle coming all the way down. This is the veer option one. We're getting the same look here from the backside tackle. He actually gets to the quarterback before he pitches it. You can see it great from the end zone view. So that's not a pinch, that's just a read. This kid read tremendously, so he's reading that guard. You know, a lot of people would see that and say, oh, you had a great call and you had a pinch call on him. No, he's reading that. So that's why we teach that, is to get those guys to do it. A lot of this game was against a team that, you know, so I can show you the 50 front where we got 5-7 guys in the box. This is our strong safety because they didn't throw a lot, so a lot of this game was on a stunt, a monster fire read off that tight end. So you might see the safety scooch over and just go 0, so we would go 0. You go back to this. I think this is a double team recognition by the nose. All right, this one's going to Farmington. How do you go back? Trying to get the reading the double team.
So double team right here.
Yeah.
And right there's the double team, and then this guy's following that guard.
So that again is a backside tackle.
That guy's not a big guy, but he's very quick.
175 pounds. So he's reading that. This guy's about 270 pounds. He couldn't cut him off because of his quickness. So, you know, that again, that's a read. That's not a pinch call. He's reading the guard pulling, and he's getting in his hip pocket very fast. So, Coach Erstein, I know, is going to talk about D-line play later in the conference. We drill and drill. We call it the giant drill. We have the TNT, the 2 outside backers, and we rep and rep and rep and rep that read. We want them to read. That's their sight read, you know. And so that's one of the reasons we film practice. If we see a kid in practice, you know, not shooting his hands on the tackle, you know, then we get all over him. Well, you know, I at least want to see the hands shoot. Well, he's too far away. I couldn't touch him. I don't care, because if he comes down on you, then you're shooting your hands. Now you're playing along. But if you're not shooting your hands, and then we want him looking at that sight read, so we'll ask him, well, what'd your sight read do? We know right there, he's not looking at his sight read, right? What'd your sight read do? He pulled, he went across the center. You know, do you yell trap, trap, trap? No. So just drill and drill and drill and drill and drill. Now, how do you guys do that? I don't know how you would do that practicing 2 or 3 days a week. Film some of it, film how it's supposed to look, make them watch the film, make them do mental reps. We talk about mental reps, mental preparedness. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm shooting my hands. I saw that guard pull and now I'm rerouting. Oh, I can't, I'm getting a back block, so I'm fighting over the top of the center. So do those mental repetitions. So when it happens in the game, they say, wow, I've seen this in my mind, I've done this in my mind, so, you know, we do some of that too, the mental preparedness. All right, the next one here, this is against our arch rivals, I think it is. It's either Southfield or Farmington High. So we're still staying in a, you know, we got slot loose, but we still got, you know, two back personnel back there. We don't care if they're under center, if they're pro gun, a sniffer. We were talking about that the other night. We got a sniffer back that's tight. 20 minutes. Good, because we can get to the next play. Push these, we're going slower for you, but. So this is great recognition by the nose. That doesn't have an end zone.
No, it did not have an end zone.
Go back. Wish it was going slow. Still gotta go back.
So this one, you're gonna get guard and tackle pulling.
You're gonna get guard and tackle pulling. It's good recognition by the nose here. My notes that I have when we did this, the front side tackle's too tight. He's aligned too tight. He was notorious for guessing sometimes, jumping it. You know, sometimes it hurts you, but you get a feel, you get a look, you know, for what that guy's gonna do across from you. So
He would do a really great job of reading the man. So he was fantastic at reading the scheme, the pressure reading, sight read. But before that, in the stance of the offensive lineman, he could tell
when he was gonna pull,
for the most part, when he's gonna pull, just by the way he may look over there, or he might
less
have
pressure on
head
his
up,
hand.
hand up just a little bit. All those little nuances, he really, and not all the kids always get that. The really good ones, you know, this kid and the other defensive tackle, and I won't make this about defensive tackle play, they were really good at that.
Okay, this next one's against our crosstown rivals. One of the schools are keeping open when they close us. So again, we're looking at, you know, I think this is a sophomore defensive end, outside backer.
You're going to get guard pull
We're
this
gonna
way.
get guard pulling, so we're trying to get hands on, keep off the backer. This is an onside trap, I believe. They run a lot of onside trap. Is there an end zone on this one? Yeah, okay. So,
He starts his pull, try to cut off with the nose guard. Nose guard does a nice job of following that guard, so even as a nose when we're shaded strong, it shows he's still got a pressure reading sight.
especially if you have a guy that's as strong as this kid was, or, you know, and he would stand up a lot. We get out of his case a lot. He would stand up a lot, but he was so strong he could stand up and then still make the read. I don't know if he could.
So he in that situation, he got center guard pull, center try to reach him, hands on, and then he followed that guard.
Okay, this is actually pretty sure this is a two eagle week.
Yeah, this looks like this guard's pulling it.
Yeah.
Two over here, you go on the weak side.
So we're eagled weak. I mean, they don't have us make the plays. This is a trick play that ends up getting knocked down, but so that's that tackle.
Who's the guard pulling?
Guard pulling, and it's an end around pass. That's that front side tackle towards the way they run the reverse. Don't always make the tackle, but you can't quit on the play, and that's why you play DB, because he didn't have any hands, right? They've had great hands. I think this next one's a 30 front. So this is a 30 front.
So it's slow motion. Backward. You see that? Yeah. It skips all the way back.
Yeah.
Which one's, this is slow motion back? Try to get you back to the start. There you go. All right. So here's the start of the formation, Coach.
So 3 down, that's actually a backer. This is the other backer.
This is like that 32 look.
So we're pretty much playing zone, able to read the screen out of the zone. Sometimes we give guys a 2-way go. You saw that number 54. He was crossing the face of that tackle just because we got a backer playing zone sitting outside. If the quarterback does bust out.
The other one, the next one skips, so whatever this one is.
This is Stony Creek.
Yeah.
This is another 30 front against a 2x2. That's the outside backer. This is the outside backer. Probably because of the tightness of this, he doesn't look like he's really in a 30 front, but that's what the call is. So that's the outside backer just making a great play. Can't remember if that last one had a tight end over slot or not. Slot. I think this next one's up. Is it? Well, personnel with a pistol or is that empty? Oh, that's the same one.
Just going off.
All right, so this is under center with the tight end. They ran a lot of pistol or under center veer option motion to a tight end. Didn't do a great job getting hands on. So wanted to show you a couple plays that, you know, guys didn't do a great job. So you got not getting great hands on. So they're getting a double on our tackle. All right, so when we're in this alignment, we want to get great hands on, but he is responsible for the veer. So he's taking the outside veer. They just loaded the veer. Quarterback kept the ball. All right, the next one's outside veer, I'm pretty sure. Now that's inside veer key. So we get a lot of this offense. I don't know if you guys do, but an insert with that veer back, or the slot back. They'll insert him as another blocker. This is the backside tight end or tackle again. Just working on our side of the ball, but reading right here. Coming over the top of it instead of chasing on their side of the ball. Okay, taking the veer back out of that. Oh, this is, I don't know if you guys see a lot of this, but this is the original sniffer back. That's, who were we talking to the other night? I didn't hear the sniffer term for, well, this was a neighboring community. That's a quarterback right there. That's their up back. We call them the sniffer because he's sniffing the quarterback's ass. And the sniffer. So, talk about a crazy offense to defend. So motion, they pitch it or run power, but we worked on chasing from the backside. This is the beginning of the game. 13 was supposed to get flat and chase down the line and try to, so you got a little too deep. You're gonna see one clip here coming up though, where really small guy right here, he's able to, you know, stunt and get to the quarterback. This kid is about 135 pounds right there. And then reading your keys. So, you know, there he is coming the last time. Now he's reading the keys. The guy releases, he didn't block down, he's going with him. So that's the same kid, 3. Made the tackle on the counter, but he read the key of the wing back coming down. Okay, this is a veer option team that runs it very good. Rochester Adams, this is an insert, where they're trying to insert the slot back against the 50 front. don't know if you guys see a lot of the veer option, but they go over what our reads and our techniques are against the veer option, who has the veer, who has the quarterback, who has the pitch. We've been pretty successful against these guys. Reason I put this clip in is just talking about running to the football, not quit. So he does break contain, but at the end you're going to see a lot of green jerseys at the football. This is a team that pulled the guards a lot, ran the same double tight slot, but either a pistol or a gun, but pulled and trapped and ran jet sweep and jet trap a lot. Don't always do the right thing. We didn't get hands on him. Let the guy leak out. Did play some good defense at the end. It's awful jumping. Just let it run. Just let it run. This guy's making good plays. So there's the.
That's a really good one from that
Power.
left defensive tackle. He's going to get a cut block with a pull. He's going to stomp over the top of the guy's head. And we actually teach that where you bring that backside foot. We say stomp on him, but you know that's just kind of something that sounds fun. But you're really not trying to literally stomp your foot on him. You're trying to bring the high knee over so he won't trip you. When you get the cut block from an offensive tackle.
So most of these cuts here are just the jet sweeps and the jet pulls, jet traps.
There's a good force from the monster.
Yep. Good stringing out by the end, monster forcing it up, protecting his outside, but being in a position to be able to cut back, help back with the tackle, off tackle. ISO, where they get motion, and ISO, we did a couple different things to it where we hornet, we ran a tight hornet stun against it. We brought the backers, see that left inside backer didn't really get off quick on it. Again, the 50 front against the one tight ends team. Wing, a lot of wing T plays. I don't know if you guys get to see that a lot, but 7, that's a defensive end fighting off the trap. Big play for them. This is a playoff game. They actually scored on us. So they don't always make the right plays. They did the right thing, but then didn't make the tackle, knocked each other over.
A couple bad pursuit angles.
Pursuit angles didn't come inside out. That's the monster. Just taking on the block, and we work on those things. We work on it with pushbacks a lot of time, how to force, double fist it, rip through it, that type of thing. I'll talk more about that with the secondary.
Tackle beats the tackle, ends up tripping up all the offensive
Well,
linemen.
that's Eddie cutting somebody.
Yeah. There's that slide front coach talking
Yeah,
about.
we slid late. Fortunately, they were offsides. You see it on the end zone view. They had 2 guys in motion, so it got pulled back. Guy never got set. And that's actually really good. But guys didn't quit. They hustled. You know, even if we hadn't got a call back, they got to play another play from the 4-yard line. So that's the front side tackle, beating the trap, okay, tighten it down, trapper went wide of them. There it is again right there, going the other way. Taking on that trap low. You know, we're technically not supposed to cut if you're outside that free tackle, free blocking zone, but we teach the kids to go down as low as they can, take out the thigh. As long as you don't cut, rip through their shins, they won't call it, so. This is actually De La Salle High School from a couple of years ago. They won the Division II championship this year in our state. This is the state championship game from this year, or from 2010, not this year. Another veer team that didn't really run an option pitch. Kind of screwy offense where they ran veer, quarterback keep, but no pitch. Kids hustling to the ball, linebacker, defensive lineman, two-way player, center, and a nose guard. But, you know, hustling, not quitting on a play. All right, so these blitzes and stunts. First one I'm pretty sure is just a slam. Yeah, just a linebacker slam. The second one, this is against the Berkeley. It's another will slam. He cheated up just a little bit, you know, on the line. I don't like for him to do that, but just an A gap stunt. You know, didn't make the tackle, but disrupted enough. This is a monster fire. He's firing. Safety was playing man on the tight end. Play went away. He got there. Actually got the heels of him. That's another monster fire. Kid was pretty good at it. This was a will slam again. I think you can see the end zone. So. That's the will backer right there. Disrupted enough. I think this is a double slam. Doesn't always work. You know, I don't know if they checked. The cutting backside over short yardage, 3rd and 3. That was another slam, and then this is supposed to be a hornet going towards that motion. This was actually one of the great plays that year. We were down in the game and fumbled the ball, returned it, and ended up winning that game and winning the state championship that game. How much time we got?
2 minutes?
Huh?
2 minutes?
2 minutes? All right, I've got the 30 fronts and blitzes that I can show with the defensive back stuff because I've got that, and I've got another presentation on that, on the defensive back, go into more detail on that. Anybody, any questions, any comments you guys have? Any questions you got about, you know, what's the thing that you see the most of that I didn't go over or didn't talk about? No?
Do you guys see the option where the guys pitch the ball much?
Veer option where they run, you know, pistol, veer option, pitch the ball.
Depends
A
on
little
the
bit.
I think we don't see much tight end stuff.
You don't see a lot of tight end.
Spread stuff, speed option.
Speed option.
Yeah, we don't really see, we don't really hardly see that, what you have to defend, the wing T elements. I mean, I'm talking from my side.
Yeah.
But it's more spread, 3x1, 2x2.
3x1.
A little bit 20.
Empty.
Yes, that's the stuff we mostly have to deal with.
Well, we see a lot of that too. The 4 down front has different responsibilities that we have, how to defend the option out of that. But if we get a lot of 3x1, 2x2, we're going to be in that 30 base, usually 4 eyes, and the read. So we do work on, because we play 2 teams that run the veer option, so we do work on reading that option from off the line of scrimmage instead of like a Georgia Tech where you have a really tight double slot. So you get 2x2 wide slot and they run speed option. We work those same drills, just talk about with the DBs of double fist in the slot, playing off, and trying to be able to still keep the responsibilities of who has quarterback, who has pitch. One of the things that we've had to do with that a lot is identify, all right, is the quarterback, does he like to pitch, does he like to keep it? So we changed some of our responsibilities of the defenders, quarterback to the pitch, slow play the quarterback, make him pitch, as opposed to, we used to just say, you have the quarterback and you're going to the pitch, and guys would miss the quarterback and we'd have a guy in the pitch and he'd never pitch it. So we changed a lot of those responsibilities of how we play it. It's like lead option or speed option, when they gun and they got a near back and they're just running it right at the edge, reading that end man on the line, and then pitching it to the near back. So, any other questions or?
You showed some plays when the defense tackle had pass coverage, kind of this. Do you spend much time in the practice to show defense line guys how to do this?
A little bit. We'll do that mostly in our
Drill.
I call it my giant drill. When we had those 2 defensive tackles you saw, we did a little bit more of it. This past year we had a couple of bigger guys. I've kind of been pushing Coach more and more over the last 5 years to just stay with those reads, because you can see how effective that is when those guys are reading their guard and tackle, how they can be so disruptive. So we haven't done a whole bunch of it in recent years where the 2 defensive tackles have dropped. But when we do practice it, because we have done some of it where they'll get on their touch. If they read run, they're reacting to their run read. If they read pass, they're going to open, turn, run, try to keep their head back to the quarterback, but open the hips and run. One of my guys could have done it this year. The other one, definitely not.
Depends on your personnel. So got some big tackles that don't have good hips. Don't call it.
He's up again, isn't he?
But you're in the other room. Okay.
Coach is up.
Coach is up.
Oh, well, you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.